If we haven't met, I'm Jennifer Elliott, and welcome to Yin for the heart and lungs, upper body specific today. So if you have 2 blocks, grab your 2 blocks and set yourself up in a 2-block heart opener. If you don't have 2 blocks, you can set up just flat on your back, your arms in cactus. We're just trying to sort of open up the upper back. Or if you have a bolster or something that would give you that little bit of a lift of the thoracic, you can do that as well. I'll use a timer on my phone. I use Insight Timer, so it just gives us a nice chime. And this first pose we're going to be in for about 4 minutes. So get yourself set up, whatever version of opening the heart you'd like. Now you can do this as a butterfly if you'd like with the legs, or you can just simply take your legs with the knees bent, whatever is making the most sense for you. Just set your elbows down next to your prop if you have it. Lift and expand your chest. Upper back sets onto the prop. And then your head on block 2. So it's more about the upper body today, really moving into the heart. But if you want to throw in the butterfly legs, you are welcome to. So just start to close the eyes. Take a few moments to drop your attention in. And just notice how you've arrived in this moment. And so with the eyes closed, you still may be thinking a bit. A lot of times the eyes, even when the eyes lids are closed, we tend to gaze upward. And this activates the thinking mind. And so see if when the eyes are closed, you can direct their inward gaze down and focus on the heart and experience more the feeling body. And observe the rise and the fall of the breastbone. And even notice all the dimensions in which the breath moves. And so as you breathe, you might notice the breastbone and collarbones rising and expanding. But can you also notice the belly moving, the side ribs moving, the back ribs? And just sort of seek out any of those areas that may not be moving. What's rigid, limited? Where might you want that breath, that prana, to explore and investigate the inner body? And then we'll take the breath in and out through the nose. So take a nice full inhale through the nose. And a nice full exhale back out the nose. In through the nose. And out. And just continue this nice, even pattern of breathing in through the nose and out. And see if you can just feel this gentle rise of the body on the inhale and the gentle fall of the body on the exhale. It's almost like we're riding a wave. You can feel that very gentle wave lifting you and gently rocking you back down. Continue the breath on your own. Just being the observer of your breath. As you're noticing the breath, start to soften, relax around the eyes, the forehead. Allow the jaw to unhinge. few more breaths here. You can gradually blink the eyes open. Interlace the hands, reach the arms behind you. As you reach back, I always encourage a yawn. It's a great signal for the nervous system to relax. You can begin to bend your knees and maybe switch the interlace of the fingers. We'll call it left index finger on top if you're not sure. And then you can very gently roll to your side, press yourself up, and if you have props, move them out from underneath you. And we're going to come back down onto our back for a twist. So when you come onto your back, you can pull your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice hug. Curl your forehead up to meet the knees. Let the shoulders rest down the back. And then lower your head to the floor. You're going to take your arms out to the sides and just simply start to rock your knees gently side to side. And then eventually you're going to drop your knees all the way to the left. And we want to pull those knees a little higher up towards that left armpit. Move the left shoulder blade out from underneath you. Now, if you have any low back sensitivity, you might put a blanket between your inner thighs, or you might find something just to give your low back a little bit of a support. But we're going to consider taking our hands either in cactus, a little bend in the elbows, or you might try to place either the right hand or both hands under your head, almost like you're doing a sit-up, but we're letting gravity let our head rest into the palms of the hands. We're going to be here for 3 minutes. So again, I'll use that timer. Make any adjustments you need. And oftentimes when we move into poses, it may not be the right one for you. And so remember that these are all suggested poses. They're suggested shapes. And so it's all about the target area. So if this twist is not the one that feels right in your body, then take a twist that does feel right in your body. It's a twist, but we're spending a little bit of extra time working on the heart and getting open through the right shoulder. And you might close the eyes again. And just bring your attention into your inner landscape. So I encourage you, use your senses. Your senses sort of move externally in the body to gather information and bring it back. But when the eyes are closed, when we start to shut off those senses to the outside world, maybe we can start to investigate that inner landscape. So with the eyes closed, again, maybe we're just noticing our breath, our thoughts, the feeling body, the emotions. And noticing the breath. The breath is what really animates the body, sort of creates that life force within. Again, is it stagnant? Is it free-flowing? Just observe. We don't have to change anything. Even simple poses can feel very intense once you add time and weight, that gravity. So if you're in this pose and you start to feel uncomfortable, like the shoulders, or you need to make any changes, then go for it. You've got a little less than a minute. If that right shoulder doesn't quite make it to the floor, that's fine. You might even decide that you want that arm straight. We've got 5 breaths left. All right, come back to center with the legs. You might want to relax the arms or straighten them if they were bent. And then start to relax your knees over to the right side. Again, we want those knees to come up at least as high as the hips, but maybe a little higher towards that right arm. The arms can be straight. Peel the right shoulder blade out from underneath you, or take one or both hands under the head like a sit-up. Again, we're here for those 3 minutes. Maybe allow the eyes to close again. Draw your attention in. As we move through the lung and the heart meridians, we're moving from a place of being imbalanced. Maybe we're heavy with grief, to a place where we're balanced, where we find courage. So really find your courage. Where's your wisdom? And that wisdom might even be just giving yourself permission to back off when it makes sense. I'm a big fan of the timer because the time is something that is not subjective. We know that there is a beginning, a middle, and end. But if you're at home and you're doing this on your own without someone leading you through this, you might just count your breaths. You don't have to focus on the timer. So doing the same amount of breaths on both sides. You have about 90 seconds left, a little less. So count your breath, maybe get to 10 breaths or a little longer. I didn't mention this sequence also starts to affect the intestines as well. So we've got heart, lungs, and intestines. So you might feel or hear a little gurgling of the intestines as they move, as we massage the contents. It's a really great way to sort of create this detoxing effect in the body. You can think of these meridian lines as how we sort of take in our emotions, how we assimilate, how we sort of digest what's going on. Not just on that physical level, but on our emotional level. Okay. Very slowly move back to center. Set your feet down onto the ground. And gently windshield over the knees. So just rock your knees side to side. Just get some movement in the back. And then straighten your legs out on the floor. So you're still on your back, straightening those legs out. And we're going to move into banana asana. So let's move our feet to the left side of the mat. So just the left corner of the mat. And I like to cross the right ankle over the left. That's really up to you. You could do the other. Make sure you're not lifting your pelvis off the ground. Try to keep your back nice and anchored. And then you're going to shimmy your torso over to the left as well. So imagine banana asana. We want to have this sort of curved C shape in the spine and legs. And then arms are really going to be depending on how your shoulders are feeling. You can take your left hand and reach for your right wrist and really get a nice good side bend. If you don't have room, you can drape that left arm, right arm rather around your head, or you can even put your hand under your head like a sit-up again. So whatever is making the most sense in your body. We're going to stick with that 3 minutes. Usually the side bend is pretty good for most people. We're not bending the knees or doing too much affecting on the back. But if it bothers your shoulders, just release the shoulders or do anything that gets into the side ribs. So we're starting to stretch that fascia between the ribs and the pelvis on that right side. If you need to make any adjustments, go for it. But eventually, we want to commit to stillness. We want to try to commit to whatever version of the pose we're in. As you begin to settle, you may notice yourself rationalizing or questioning the position. Are you deep enough? Are you not deep enough? Is there enough sensation, not enough? You can start to really view your motivation for movement or even motivation of stillness. What is it that you seek? Using your breath. We've got about 10 breaths left, about 60 seconds. All right, slowly come back to center. So undo the feet. As you bring your feet back to center, torso to center, arms by your sides, and just take a moment to feel the rebound effect as we stretch and pull those tissues and then very gently let them go. You might feel some warmth or circulation on that side. And when you're ready, move your feet over to the right corner of your mat. So find a good angle. Again, I like to slide left foot on top of right ankle, but you can change that. Just keep your pelvis level. I see a lot of times in class people cross their ankle over and they'll let their pelvis roll up. So keep your hips level, walk the feet over, walk your torso over to the right, and then either right hand can reach for the left wrist or any version of this that's working for you in the upper body. We're here that same 3 minutes. And I encourage you to start to notice what side starts to feel like these poses are taking forever. What side feels like you're just flying by. Close the eyes, check in. The lungs are very much connected to our digestion. If we're holding our breath, those lungs don't sort of have that massaging effect on our abdominal organs. And so as you take these nice big breaths, notice how that's starting to affect the belly, the intestines, the digestion. Make changes if you need. Continue to bring your attention to the jaw. When we're in stress, real or imaginary, the neck muscles, the low back muscles, they engage. There are orienting muscles. And so just sort of by default, you might notice your jaw starting to tense, even when you don't feel stressed. It's just sort of where we're at in our body. Our body goes back to what it's familiar with. And so we want to train the body to relax and give it a new state of normal. All right, move slow, come to center. Undo the feet, maybe bend the knees, windshield wiper, or even let the knees fall into one another. Just feel that rebound effect. Give yourself a moment to breathe. And then you can find your way up. So roll to the side, press yourself up to seated. And we're going to find a version of child's pose called quarter dog. And for me, I don't know about you, it just feels really nice to have props, like a blanket underneath my knees. And if you have knee sensitivity, you might have a second blanket in between the knees. So I'll show both of those. So I'm going to take a blanket, you could have a towel or something, and I'll just put it on my mat sideways, a little longer than the mat. The knees are going to be wider in your child's pose, so feet together, knees a little wider. If you find that the knees are giving you any trouble, you might even take a second blanket or prop into the knee crease. So this is always an option for you. So from here, the knees are wide, feet together. Arms are going to reach out to the sides, and then walk your arms over to the right side. So angle your arms off your mat to the right side. Now this left arm is going to continue to lengthen that whole left side body like we're doing. And the right elbow is going to bend. You can just place your fingers under that left arm. And then your forehead can rest down onto your forearm. So a nice quarter dog, a nice 4 here with the arms. So we're going to be here about 4 minutes, about 3 minutes. If you need to come out early, go for it. And continue to work into the side body. There's one more option you can take. Some of you might even like that blanket in the lap, and then it gives you a little bit more space that way. So again, just start to meet your own needs here. If it feels a lot for the shoulder, you can bend both elbows or even take that left arm underneath if you need to make changes. You have a really good opportunity here to breathe into the back body and see if there's limitation here. So again, still thinking about the breath, the prana, the lungs. A lot of our lungs are actually located in the back ribs. We can really expand out those back ribs. Without forcing, just notice as you breathe, do the back ribs feel like they expand? Or is there that limitation or rigidity? We've got a little less than a minute. I'm going to call it maybe 8 breaths. Right, so slowly come back to center and do whatever rebound you'd like. Maybe you bring the knees closer together and you can sit in a child's pose that way. You can sit on your feet in Vajrasana, or it may even feel good to take a little bit of a down dog. So just take a moment to rebound how you'd like. And then we'll set up for the second side. So you're going to take your arms off to the left side. Really extend. So you're feeling that work all through the right side. Bend your left elbow. You can place that hand underneath. Forehead down. And just connect with your breath here. I feel we might be a little extra tight in the upper back, the shoulders. Maybe you're spending more time on the computer or the television or on the couch. And we tend to carry our stress in the shoulders, so it's a really great way to release. About halfway through this pose. How are we doing? And our last couple breaths. Come back to center. When you get back to center, rebound however you did the last time or whatever feels comfortable for you. So I'm going to take a gentle down dog. Nothing too intense, just to give my legs a little break from being bent. And then you can find your way down onto your belly in Sphinx. And I already have this blanket here, so I'm going to use it for under the belly, which feels really nice for me. And we're not going to be in Sphinx too long. We'll be on the belly for a little bit of time, so I'm not going to stay in Sphinx for all that long. But anything that I do, if lying on the belly bothers your lower back, you could do the arms upright. You could make changes. So just really listen to your body, do what you need here. All right. So we're going to be here for a couple of minutes per pose. I'm going to change it to 2 minutes because sometimes the shoulders can be pretty intense. And so if you have blocks or props, maybe bring those in front of you so that you can use them. We're going to take our arms, and it's called crushed wings. So you're going to take your arms and just cross the elbows one in front of the other. So kind of like you're tying yourself up like a bow. And this may be plenty. If you feel that you're ready to lower, you might start to set your forehead down onto your palm. So I'm not quite there just yet. I'm going to give myself a little bit of time. So one arm in front of the other. Again, and it depends on how you're feeling in the shoulders here. So this may be plenty. You might eventually drop your forehead to the ground. You can even wrap your arms around yourself, give yourself a nice hug. So just enjoy this appropriately named pose, crushed wings. A nice stretch for the outer shoulders, maybe forehead resting. And just use your breath. Anytime we're in our postures, if you feel a sharp, shooting, tingling pain, those are signals to back off. If you feel kind of a dull ache or kind of a deep stretch, those are usually fine. But listen to your intuition. If any reason you feel like you should back off, go for it. We've got about 5 breaths left here. All right, now move slow. Notice which arm is in front for you so that you can switch. So just undo your bow a little bit. Take the other arm in front, so elbow in front of elbow. This may be plenty, so again, it's relative to you. And then cross the arms. Start our 2 minutes, and not quite as long. It might feel like forever. The arms can be intense. Just cross yourself like a bow. You can sit, or at any time the forehead can release. What I like about Yin is we're really developing those skills to listen within. Most of the time, we always say that, oh, I had that intuition, I always knew, I knew that was going to happen, and maybe we didn't listen to it. And so in our Yin, we have the time, we have the space in sort of the mind and the thoughts, hopefully, that we can start to observe what's happening within. As we listen to our intuition, that inner dialogue that tells us that we're moving along the right path, or that inner dialogue that tells us we should change. online format is kind of similar to when we have time change and I teach these yin classes in the dark to candlelight. Students aren't able to see their neighbors, and so they're not comparing their poses to anyone else. It really just has to be how they feel in the pose. That's really going to determine when they move a little deeper. And so in this case, you can see me, but you can't see your neighbors or anyone else. And so I hope that you are encouraged just by listening to your own body and deciding when to move a little deeper or not. You've got a few breaths left. All right, go ahead and slowly unwind the arms. I'm not done with the arms yet. Feel free to take breaks if you need. So we're going to continue to use those blocks or props. And if these props aren't here, that's fine. You can do without. But we're going to take our arms, our elbows, on top of those props. And maybe this is just it. Maybe you just have your elbows on the props and you're just here. But we're going to see if we can take eagle arms. So cross one elbow on top of the other. Bring your palms together. It's fine if they don't meet. And then maybe just rest the forehead again. And I'm going to set the timer. We're going to stay with this 2 minutes. We'll make changes after this if you need. And if this is too much, give yourself a hug. Go back to the last pose that we did. You can rest your chin or your forehead. If this was a vinyasa class, a more active class, I might be telling you to really root through your feet, lift your navel in, really trying to activate and strengthen the lower body. But because it's yin, we want gravity to take over. So let everything go. Yin works with either stretching the tissues or with compression of the joints. And so here we're getting a little compression of the discs of the lower back. As long as that's healthy for you, you don't have any low back disc concerns, this is fine. If that is a concern, fold your blanket up thicker than I have mine. Or you can do these arms and just not the lower body. You can sit on your knees or however you're comfortable. About halfway through this pose. Last couple breaths. All right, now move slow. Take a mental note. Which arm is on top? Take the other arm on top, or maybe you're just staying here. Aren't we glad where this is not a 4 or 5 minute hold? So, do our 2 minutes again. Elbow on top of elbow, or your version. And breathe into it. It may be intense. Sometimes yin gets the reputation of being almost like a restorative practice. If you've ever really taken a good yin practice, they can be quite intense. There's nothing necessarily restorative about it. It's more meditative. Can you really start to find space around that intensity, those parts that feel they're getting your intention? Make your breath more expansive, create space around the intensity so that it lessens. And the way I can describe it, I used to be a massage therapist, and we had a doula come in and give us a prenatal class for massage, a prenatal massage course. And she would explain how instead of fighting against the contractions and holding and gripping the breath and making it tighter, to imagine that you could create more space and make the breath bigger so the contraction was still there, but you were more moving with it versus fighting against it. So the same thing is here. Can you create a little bit of space around that sensation? The sensation make it a little bit less. We've got a few breaths left. Yay. All right, unwind. Go slow. Take a rebound, whatever that looks like for you. Rest. Feel that warmth, that heat in the shoulders. I'm going to go back to 3 minutes. I'm going to change our pose. And so we're going to take the arm out 90 degrees. Now I just happen to have these blocks here. A blanket works really nicely. You can even just put your head on the ground. But you're going to take your right arm out to 90 degrees. Look away from that hand. And then that may be plenty. If you feel okay here, roll onto your right side. Pull your knees in towards your chest to fetal position. And then maybe that top knee opens, but don't force it. I'll give you some options if this isn't for you. So again, we're here for 3 minutes. So if that feels extreme for you, you may have a wall or something next to you that you can place your hand on. You can sit up tall and you just sort of turn away from that pressing of the hand into a wall. So if lying on your belly is intense, you have prior shoulder dislocations. If you have prior shoulder dislocations, you might even be real conscious of this as well, but it's maybe a little less intense than your full body weight. So if you're doing the version on your belly, remember you're in control. So if it feels too intense, back off. Be more on your belly versus on your side. As you're bending your knees and opening up that left knee, the left hand can either be under your head, in front of you like a kickstand, or you might drop behind the back. Yogi's choice. About a minute in. We're almost done with our upper body. We'll do some lower body poses after this. A few of you may be able to add that second knee. If that feels intense, just bring it back down. About 90 seconds left. Last few breaths. tempted to move fast, but go slow. Take as much time as you need to unwind. Rebound if you'd like, so you might take a moment just to rest. And then we'll do the other side. Same thing applies. If you need to make changes, you can sit upright, use the wall. Left arm out, look away from the hand. Left ear down. This is really good. You can stay here. Or begin to roll onto your left side. I like to pull the knees into the fetal position. It's just really nice for the back. You can stay there. Or some of you may open up that right knee. You can do what works for you. Right arm in front or behind the back, whatever makes the most sense. And the sides are different, so you may not move as deep into this side as you did on the other. Continuing to use your breath as that guide. You realize that you're holding your breath. Pose may be too intense, or maybe the mind has wandered. If the mind has wandered, that's fine. Just notice it, bring back to the breath. But you might even start to notice where the thoughts went. Those thoughts create anxiety? Are you in the future? Are you in the past? Start to notice that monkey mind. Where does it go? And how does your breath respond? You've got about a minute left. All right, move slow. Take your time. And we're going to gently make our way to child pose. We'll go slow. When you get to child's pose, be comfortable here. So maybe use a prop under the forehead. You might rest the arms back by your sides. Just a few breaths, not too long. And then slowly roll yourself up. So we're going to move to our back. Some of you will move to your back. So I'm going to give you a couple of options. So we're going to move into Gomukhasana or Shoelace. And some of you will prefer this on your back. So knee over knee. You can grab onto the calves or the ankles and gently pull the feet apart. And it's really nice if you have a wall. You can do this and sort of slide your feet at the wall. Otherwise, we'll sit up and do this pose. You can sit on a blanket if you'd like. And then cross your right leg on top of the left. So knee over knee. Again, if this is not for you, you can do this on your back. So So the good news is we're pretty much done with the arms. I'm sure your shoulders are ready. I'm going to be here for our 3 minutes. The arms may just want to rest. You might just rest them on your knees. You might find that you can get low enough into this that maybe you rest on your props, or maybe you even rest your forehead. So whatever's making sense for you. And close the eyes. And really sort of pat yourself on the back. You've done such great work. It's sometimes hard to stay with the intensity of those arms and the upper back. So really great job. And then explore that same intensity with the hips. Allow yourself to release. And honestly, already after spending so much time in the upper body, I feel like this could be a 10-minute hold. At this point, I feel like the hips are ready. They could be here longer. Well, we're here about another 90 seconds. A lot of times I talk about when we might feel imbalanced and not balanced in certain meridian lines. And so mentally, if you don't feel balanced here, you might feel a little bit cloudy thinking. You have a hard time sort of getting your thoughts together. Emotionally, you might feel a little hard to let go, to process grief. And physically, you might notice things like rashes or acne, things that have to do with the skin. The skin is oftentimes referred to as our second lung, or I guess you could say our third lung, right? All right, slowly back off. And then switch. So left leg on top, your version of the pose. If bent knees are not for you, you can lie on your back and grab your strap, kind of like Supta Padangusthasana C, just holding the leg, crossing it over. You can use that. Otherwise, we're here. 3 minutes again. You can close the eyes and just journey inward. You notice there might be things that I repeat. And part of it is because we're continuing on this new path. So oftentimes we notice that our thoughts or even our physical patterns, they start to move down that path that we've always gone. Maybe we slouch or, we have that negative self-talk. And so that's the path that we're really driving this deep groove into. And then we become aware of it and we say, oh no, wait, I have this new path, this new direction I want to go. Because the other one is the one we're used to, we sort of become absent-minded and all of a sudden we end up on this other path again. So we have to pause and bring ourselves back. And we just do that as many times as we need until this new path is the one that's got this really nice groove. The old path is grown over. So if I say something and you hear it again, it might be the reminder to come back. Or it might be sort of keeping you on that right track. You're halfway through this pose. Five breaths left. All right. Go ahead and bring yourself up. And then let's go ahead and straighten our left leg out to the side. We'll do this and then we'll come to our back. So the right knee can stay bent, and then you can just move your prop or whatever you have to the inside of the left leg. And you're just going to set your elbow down on that prop and either drape your right arm over to get into the side body again, or you can leave that relaxed. We're not going to be here as long because I want to take our final stretch here. So let's just be here a minute and a half. And that prop can be any height you like. And honestly, I just set the timer so I wasn't extending that other arm up, and I felt a really nice stretch on the side body. So you may not even need to bring that arm up, especially if the shoulders are a little bit tired. Last few breaths. Move slow. You can bring your left leg back towards butterfly. Straighten your right leg out to the side. Set your right elbow down, maybe that's it. Or you can take that top arm over. Again, not here long, just a little bit to get into the inner thighs, and then we'll finish with our final stretch. center. And then let's find our way onto our back. If you have a strap, grab it. We'll take just a short version of final stretch. You can loop up your strap if you'd like. I grabbed a small strap, so I'm not going to loop it. And come to your back and just slide your strap over your right foot. So it might feel really nice to be on your back body. Now, if you're able to loop up your strap, you might do different things so you don't have to use your shoulders. Maybe bring it underneath your back body. But otherwise, we're not here too long. Just enough to let the back release and get into the lower body some. You can move the straps into your right hand if that's what you're doing. Turn the toes out to the right, slowly open right. And if you have your props nearby, I have my blanket, so maybe I'll use that. Actually, I'd rather a little bit more support. So I'm going to put my block against the hip just so that I have sort of a nice stopping point. I don't need to go as deep as I can here. Come to center, switch hands, cross the leg over, enjoy a nice twist. All right, come to center, put your left foot into the strap, lower your right leg down. Again, we're not here long, just long enough to get into the lower body. Hopefully, if you were able to take some good flow classes either right before or earlier in this week, we have a nice release in our shoulders. Straps to your left hand, turn your toes out left. Maybe you have a prop. I like to set the prop next to my left hip, and then as I open, tip it up like a ramp. Again, this could be a couple of blankets. You could do anything. Sometimes I even hold the cap, so whatever makes this appropriate for you. Bring your leg to center. Switch hands. Cross the leg over. Enjoy your twist on this side. right, bring yourself to center. Knees to your chest. Give yourself a nice hug. And we'll set up for Shavasana. So do what you need here. Get comfortable. How is Shavasana comfortable? So oftentimes I use a bolster, but you may not have a bolster. Maybe you have blocks, maybe you have a blanket, I don't know. Set it up the way you like. But you can take your blocks, set them up flat, and just put your blanket on top of that. And sometimes that's a really nice, good makeshift bolster. I'm going to set the timer just so that we can rest in Shavasana. We're going to be here for 3 minutes. Get yourself set up, get comfortable. And let's just feel the effects of our practice. Let the breath take on its pattern again, just nice and even. We've arrived. Shavasana. Start to move fingers and toes. Maybe reach behind you and yawn. Bending your knees. Make your way to your side. And press yourself up to seated. Nice closed or partially closed. Hands to your heart in gratitude. All that space we've created. The heart, the lungs, our breath, our body. Lift your chest, bow your head. Namaste.